Hello War of the Vision fans, I'm Jockey Fox, and today I'm going to be talking about vision cards, and I'm going to be focusing on older vision cards and vision card sets that will work for basically any team. In this video I want to talk about universal vision cards, also known as rainbow vision cards, and sometimes just known affectionately as old vision cards. Which is a little bit of a misnomer, as there are a couple universal vision cards that have been released over the last couple of years. Although, these are a special variety that we'll talk about in just a second. Actually, let's get into it now. There are a couple different varieties of these vision cards. The first set originally applied to any unit that equipped them, but were later awakened to receive a second passive that was locked to a specific element. These are your typical universal vision cards. There is a cycle or so of these that were released a little bit late into that cycle that have two passives that are universal, as well as one passive that's locked to an element. And I would say that in terms of universal vision cards, while there are some limitations here, as neither passive is quite as good as it could have been, getting two is certainly better than one, and this can be pretty strong, especially in the sub VC slot. These are the only universal vision cards that on any level compete with elemental or job-based VCs or hollow VCs. Speaking of hollow VCs, as they do tend to be a little bit more powerful, a lot of these older vision cards can be made a lot more capable and a lot more powerful, especially in the sub-slot, than even some of their competition in some ways, or at least in some specific categories, what they do best, if they're Elder Awakened. So this is something that I would highly encourage, and you can purchase the resources that you need for Elder Awakening through the shop that I'm showing you on screen. And these cards are becoming important because we're seeing teams like this become a lot more important and a lot more versatile in being able to deal with a lot of things. As I noted in my video of the top builds in Arena, there's a lot of teams like this that are doing really well, but typically speaking, the ones that don't have good vision card synergies tend to be a little bit more vulnerable than the rest. I mean, ideally, for these teams, there are cards that do work for them with various synergies, and you want to be using basically all of those. But for most people, these general vision cards are going to work. And not only are they going to work for teams like this, while they're not ideal, they'll work for any of your other teams as you're building up your selection of job-based or elemental vision cards. So these tend to be pretty important. There's also another grouping of these that have been more recent, and these are all promotional vision cards. A number of these, with their sub-passive, target multiple elements. And the one hollow vision card example of this that I can think of is, I mean, it only works in quest maps fully, but all of its effects are actually universal. These are great cards if you're filling in gaps with your teams or building some of these highly meta teams without having all of the newest vision cards are supposed to enable that strategy, or to fill in the gaps between the things that you do and do not have. So let's talk about them, shall we? Also, kind of answering the question of what should you be focusing on, especially if you're using older vision cards, you're not going to have nearly as many passives, especially if this is on a rainbow team that you're getting from your vision cards. So that makes it even more critical to pick the right effects and things from this pool. And there's a lot of things that maybe you're used to having on vision cards that just don't exist in this older pool as well. A lot of newer concepts. But there are some really powerful things that do still exist with this, and frankly, in terms of just like a all over the place party, this one is pretty good. I've got my area attack resistance up card, Death Machine. There's actually another one of these. So if I wanted another option, this one actually will work for water teams though, but that's not what we're here to talk about. It is a general, but that's not usually the best general effect. There is also a water vision card that's magically based. It has kind of a lackluster at this point skill on it, but it is also an AoE 20 resistance card. And maybe it used to be before the Elder Awakening system that for these VCs it wasn't necessarily good to stack them, even if you had both. But maybe with the Elder Awakening, you could get enough AoE resistance out of it. You could even get 15 out of that in the sub slot. Having 35 AoE resistance would be pretty significant. Unfortunately, there's no way to stack unit resistance, at least not in multi-elements. So you're going to be picking a different card to sub over here, if that were kind of the case. Also, you're not going to necessarily be putting both of the AoE cards on the same unit anyways, because one of them is magical and one of them is physical. So if you had this over here, you'd probably be running sub-slot Winter Holiday Party on Helena here. But other options, speaking of Helena, this is maybe my favorite old vision card in the game, period. Shadow Flare is meh now. Again, some of the abilities that came on these cards was not particularly great. This is hyper specific to those two Helenas, the oldest of them. This actually has a lot of things that activate it, which is pretty cool. So a lot of extra accuracy for specific people. Also even more accuracy if you are dark. So for a dark character who fits this criteria, you're getting a lot of accuracy off of this vision card. Like, a lot. But it's this 15% agility, and technically, yes, you can go higher with job-based vision cards. They do have a higher threshold for agility, but this is the best that you'll do out of the older vision cards and out of elemental vision cards. And it's just a great one to have. We also have another one coming up, Scions of the House Beolve, I believe. From... I don't have it on this account. However, I just want to make sure I'm not confusing it with a card. Scions of Twilight, okay, yeah. Scions of House Beolve is a light slash up card. It also gives generic slash up as well to anyone who equips it, but it's a 15% agility card too. So if you're really trying to get the most out of this generic team, you're probably going to want to have both of those cards. Otherwise, you're going to need at least 1 to 2 vision cards to fill that in if you want all of your units to have kind of an equally high boost of agility. And again, for the sub VCs, these effects are really going to benefit from Elder Awakening. This is a decent damage booster. It's okay in the sub slot. The acquired AP is actually really helpful down there. Armor Piercer, again, another meh ability, unfortunately, but if you do need an extra ability for a character, these cards often coming with abilities could be helpful. Maybe it helps you do something you couldn't do before for whatever reason. This one's decent, but like slash attack resistance, unless your team is punishing people's slash attack penetration, I don't really think that you should go for this in the modern day, but it's okay. It also boosts the HP of your light units, which is pretty cool if you are running a light, heavier kind of team. Here's another good one. Slash and accuracy up is a pretty good combination. Also HP for lightning units and slash attack resisting piercing rate as a bestowed effect that can be applied by anyone. So there's a lot of people who need that extra 20%. I know it says 10, but that's only because it's in the sub slot. There's a lot of people who can get to 80, and they want to start at 60, because they can get 40 in their kit. You know, like Sephiroth has an ability that gives him 40 defense. I think he has one that gives him slash. I don't know. The old Sephiroth does. I think it was Hell's Gate. That gives him 40, so if he comes into a match with 60 after that attack goes off, he's now at 100%, and this could be part of how he gets up to 60. It doesn't necessarily have to come from his equipment. Although, that is a pretty cool use for the black garb these days. is actually what I'm running here. But we're talking about vision cards, not equipment at the moment. So this one, you can actually buy shards for this and Golem. So if I kind of scroll past some of the Elemental and some of the job cards, I can get back. Actually, the Addison Ray cards are not terrible. I use them as spot fillers way more often than I like to admit. This is another good one. Anything with the all elemental attack up just works pretty well. Here's another one. We tend to get these a lot as promo vision cards. So if you've been playing for a while, you've likely picked up a couple of those. This one's good for magic teams. It's kind of like the counterpoint to the Agaion vision card that I showed you earlier. If you need a general evasion card, Shiva's good for that. It's your general magic card. Kind of the counterpoint of a Freet. A Freet's in here somewhere. Yep, 50 attack. This is another one, though, that you can get for free, or at least you can get the shards for free. And this works really well into your sub slot. Also, if you're playing with Earth characters, it helps their lightning resistance, but also helps anyone's Earth resistance, which is kind of cool. 2 birds with 1 stone. Nice. So good elemental bonuses there. Actually, so if you don't have Science of House Elevate, this might be your only other option to get that agility and apply it to all of any team. It's one of the cooler MRVCs. This guy isn't bad if you want the slash resistance, but again, I think you should only be doing this if you can punish their slash attack resistance penetration. And there are a number of characters who can do that. I'm not saying it's not a thing, not a niche that's worth talking about. If you need the extra area attack resistance, or maybe this is your only option, unfortunately, you're not going to get a lot of it here, but it is an option for you. Here's the unit resistance card, Sanctum Assassins. So you can kind of mix and match these. Oh wait, there's one more I wanted to talk about. This one's also free. It's a general attack up. It's kind of like Clairvoyant Astrologer, the one that gave attack and acquired AP, but without the acquired AP, which was a big part of what made that work in the sub slot at least. And you probably don't want to run this main, but if you do, you actually get a lot more hate up, which could be really helpful. I think this is the only vision card, maybe, that gives initial hate, so this can be really good for screwing with the AI. Additionally, this is a card that you're going to use a lot. You'll see the damage limit up is not being rate limited here in the sub VC slot, and that's where you're going to run this. But also, if that is your strategy, and this is really helpful in like PvE type stuff, where you're really trying to run up a big damage total. Oh, it's Two-Headed Dragon, this one. Yep, so this is the big boy version of that. And again, these cards are pretty damn useful to this day in PvE. Very, very good cards. Want Maneater on physical attack? You can get that from Titan. This is also going to be a part of the general evasion build for Earth. So you might be using this with Shiva, potentially. I'm not sure how... Yeah, well, 10. So that'd be 30 evasion between the two of them. That could be a good little bump for your team. It's also an interesting vision card. I wouldn't really recommend... As you can see, I'm having trouble building it. I guess I take it back. There are 4 cards that I haven't finished building that I own. But 3 of them are very much limited, and I don't even care about you. Sorry, Blades of Grass. I know your re-collaboration's coming up, but I still don't really care. So yeah, I have a ton of vision cards to show off, and that definitely helps me in building these multi-elemental, multi-job group teams. I got some nice newer vision cards too, and these little indications here. This is one that I really like. So, looking at elemental vision cards, well, actually, let me back up. There was a way that I wanted to do this. So we've looked at a lot of the history, right? I don't remember if I've mentioned this. Really only useful for this. A lot worse these days, but it is a very low cost card. So if vision card cost limits are a thing, sometimes that card sees play, but it's honestly getting worse as more and more defense penetration is just assumed. I can only Elder Awaken one more thing, so I'll be a little picky. Ooh, this is a good choice though. I'll take this. More HP when it's in my sub slot. More lightning resistance too, I guess. Good luck card. Earth resistance for earth units. We should be getting into the elemental era here soon with cards like this. Is this yes, this also was. Okay. I think this is a promo BC. Oh. Acquire JP and quests. Nice. So this is this gives a lot of acquired JP, I'm realizing. But it is one of the acquired JP cards. It is also an acquired AP card up here, which is relevant to that PvP. Like I said, I was trying to look at these from a PvP lens. But the thing is, this is in some ways it feels like it's missing a passive. That it instead got a limited party buff for. But it is the newest kind of generic vision card. Which, hey, I mean, I'm glad they're still putting them out there, especially with how bad we want them, but how bad at least some commenters seem to want them. But I also think this is a good place to end the video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe. Also, click that link in the description to see all the corners of the Jackie Fox Media universe. Ring the bell to make sure you don't miss any videos. And check out my books in the description. Also, you can send some money if you would like. And with all of that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.